Hi everyone, today we have a really good interview with Dr. Sagar Abhichandani. Personally, I am very excited for this. Dr. Sagar sir is one of the most positive dentists that is in India, I would say. So he'll be joining us soon, so just wait for a few seconds. I'll just send in the request to him. I just texted him. So if you do have any questions, please keep it at the end of the video when we're done with all the questions that I have received until now. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, my dear, I can see you. I can hear you. I hope you can see me and hear me as well.
Absolutely, sure. So before
Okay.
we begin, how have been the situations in Mumbai where you are actually right now?
Mumbai has stopped being the COVID capital, so things are pretty okay. Not great as it's supposed to be, but I guess everybody has realized what the new normal is and they are starting to get back to work. Hopefully,
Yes,
one day will be like the pre COVID days.
hopefully, sir. So before I begin, I just want to introduce yourself, even though you do not need any introduction. You are, in my opinion, one of the most positive dental personalities in India, and no one is doing the kind of personal branding that you are doing. Like the content you are posting, it's
I didn't know
engaging,
I'm
it's
branding. I didn't know that. Okay, but still, thank you.
so it's fun, it's engaging, and even the non-dental people that I know, some of them even follow you. So, sir, in your videos, you are so happy. Is there any secret behind it that you'd like to share with us?
Okay, so in the pre-COVID days, I used to be more like a robot who used to work in clinics 5 days, 6 days a week for almost 14 hours, 16 hours a day. Every weekend, I used to travel some or the other part of the world, conduct some of the other courses, some of the other programs. But the COVID break, the lockdown, made me introspect. That's what made me realize that I'm probably losing out on me, my own space, my own time. And that's where I realized that it's important to just chill a bit, relax a bit, enjoy a bit, and more importantly, let the happiness flow in other aspects of life and not just in dentistry. So, as you said, I stay happy because I am happy. Happy with what I'm doing, happy with whom I have been with. My family has played a great role in keeping me happy. They've always been very understanding when I'm out of home for 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So they have been very supportive. And now that when I am getting time because there is no traveling happening, there are no
Yes.
courses happening. So Sundays when I take a little easy, that's where I am charged up for the next week as well. So I guess I'm happy because I am with happy people. People are keeping me happy, and I am happy doing the work I love doing, primarily dentistry. Initially, it
Uh,
only used to be dentistry, now it's primarily dentistry.
okay, sir. Sir, so I remember you had a smile designing course at IDC Kerala,
Yeah.
which back then I was in second year, so I couldn't actually get into that because I really wanted to meet you and it wouldn't be possible back then. But now we are meeting and it's really a humbling experience for me.
It's humbling for me as well because when you said IDC Kerala, that was one of the best organized conferences which we had. And I made a lot of friends there because I really love being by the beach, The sea always gets me pumped up. And we had a good time with so many people out there. Post conference as well, post the banquets. So that place is very special. And after all, it's God's own country.
Fortune
So
country,
you
yes.
feel very close to nature, and it was fantastic. So when you said Kerala and IDC, the memories started pouring in again. It was
And then
fantastic.
lockdown happened and everything was like
Yeah, life changed after that.
life changed.
Corona has
So,
become the next god.
good one, sir. So in one of your videos, you had a philosophy like for students and PG, anyone who's in the dental fraternity, come what may, I will succeed. Like how, like, what would you have gone through in life to eventually get through that statement? Like come what may, I'm gonna succeed. Crashing
See,
through all the negativity and being here, like one
see
of the
what
best
happens.
dentists in
See
India.
what happens is I was not long ago where I finished in with my UG, then PG, then I went on to do my MSc and then MS. Wasn't too long ago. But what happens is one thing has remained constant, where people always talk about saturation in dentistry.
Hmm.
You know what? You need to be the second generation of dentist or a third generation of dentist to have a legacy, to create a name, because then you already have fame and then you just need to carry forward that. And there's no dentist in my family. I'm the first doctor in my family. So I used to feel, and if I don't have a godfather, will I have no future? That was my initial thoughts. But then I realized that we have such great examples in the world who are from other specialities, who are from other fraternities. They have made a name for themselves, which means it is not impossible. Again, I'm not saying it's difficult, I'm saying it's not impossible that if you don't have a background in dentistry, you can't make a niche for yourself. That's where was my first positive motivation. That
Hmm.
if I don't have a niche, I'm going to create my niche.
You will not stand out if you don't have a niche.
I will create my own niche. So I
Hmm.
will not be under a shadow of anyone or known as somebody's XYZ. No, I will have my own standing. I'm going to create my own identity where people are going to associate X, Y, or Z because I am doing it. That was my thought process. Then I created a roadmap. All of that, as you're talking about a lecture which is there on YouTube for everybody to
Hmm.
see as well. So that is how I created my roadmap as well, where I want to see myself in the next 5 years, where I want to see myself in the next 10 years, where I want to see myself at the end of the profession. And how do I want to be known after I say goodbye to the world? So once those parameters were set and I could see the roadmap coming up, now I know this is my end destination. This is where I am. These are the limited number of years I have to practice. These are limited number of years I have to interact with youngsters like you, who will be definitely better than me one day.
Hopefully,
So,
sir.
how do I make an impression? Firstly, for myself to do something. Secondly, to do something which inspires others to do things better than me. So, based on all of this, again, nobody was there to guide me. All of these things have been done by myself, doing the wrong things, learning from the mistakes, and then trying to better it. So, luckily, the generation which is after me, they have people who are there to help them. But there was quite a lot of people who would actually keep things confined to them, that what if he picks up, what if he becomes better than me? I have no shame in saying that I want everybody to be better than me. Because if I play a role in someone else's betterment, I am happy that I made a contribution. That someone who's standing at a podium is talking was once upon a time trained by me, educated by me, and see where he's reached. So it's a sense of satisfaction. There's nothing to feel bad about, jealous about. I don't think so. There are certain brands of people whom I simply don't correlate or connect with, that try to keep things within you. No need to leak out what you do, how you do. And I am someone who's like an open book. So I will share A to Z of everything what has helped me reach something or do something in life. So again, as I said, I created my own roadmaps. So even if you ask me, I don't want to brag or boast about what I wanted to do in 2018 or in 2019 or probably in 2021, 2025. Everything is already there in my head. So that's the path I need to follow, and hopefully, God willing, things should be okay.
Fantastic, sir. And sir, when you were creating that roadmap and when you're following it, did you re-evaluate at constant times, like when you were in
It
the
has to
process
be.
of going?
See, it has to be. It's very simple. Say, for example, I say I need to fly from Mumbai to Delhi.
Hmm.
So if I plan that, okay, fine, I need to leave my house 1 hour prior to my check-in, but I still need to keep a 20, 30 minutes cushion. What if there's a lot of traffic on the road? What if the road which I am planning and doing my entire decision making, that road because of XYZ reasons is blocked? Or there's a procession on the street, or there is something which I couldn't have imagined. So I have to keep all these permutations and combinations in mind, that even if there is an X, Y, or a Z situation, my plan B, plan C, plan D are ready. So even if I miss my flight for any goddamn reason, I still have sufficient number of hours left until my scheduled plan of arrival is not getting disturbed. So that is the reason I never take an early morning flight for a session which starts at 9. I always prefer going one evening early or one night early. So even if there is any unforeseen circumstances which come in, I sufficiently have time to still start my session at 9 a.m. the next day.
True,
So
sir.
what I would advise everybody is, because you had told me that a lot of youngsters who would be watching in, keep your goals in mind, but always have 3, 4 channels ready to reach that goal, because you never know what can happen. Life is so uncertain, but that goal cannot change. Your vision cannot be modified, but you definitely know an alternate route to reach that destination. That's very important, very important. So people are saying, hi, hello. Guys, don't mind if I am talking, looking to Hussain Ali and not looking down, but still a hello to everyone who joins in. And you can definitely ask in your questions as well. I'll be more than happy to take it at the end of the day. Hussain will be more than happy because he has a lot of questions as well. So if you feel that I have not passed in my exam, don't mind it. The friendship shall still remain strong. Yes, please.
Sure. So when does the role of a mentor come into life?
See, first of all, mentors are somebody who can act as a guiding source. But your biggest mentor, just like my biggest mentor, was me myself. Because a mentor can tell you what is good for you, but do you have the aptitude in you to do that?
Hmm.
That's the most important aspect. So, what I used to tell myself is, what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? If my strength is X, can I make it X square? I'm not talking 2X, 3X, I'm talking X square. Means, can I become so good that there is nobody second to me in that area, in that field, in that niche? So I need to know my strengths first. If I know my strengths, I can really make my strengths become my superpowers. On the other hand, I will be foolish enough to not know what are my weaknesses. I need to know what are my weaknesses too. So if I know my weaknesses, can I overcome those weaknesses? Or can I have somebody, something which can take care of those weaknesses? So you might not be good in everything. You cannot be the king of everything. But definitely you can have kings working together
Hmm.
to still become unbeatable. I hope you're getting what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
You did not win the war by yourself, but you can definitely have an army of people whom you lead can still win the war. Because the target is what? Winning the war. How you create that roadmap to emerge victorious is up to you. Knowing what are your strengths and whom you feel are good enough in their aspects to work together as a team. I'm getting positive vibes while seeing you. Well, I need to see you too to get positive vibes. Great. Yes, let's go ahead.
Sir, you are a fantastic public speaker. I'm also a fan of public speaking. I do at my college and wherever I can. So, what will be your three tips for being a better public speaker?
Okay, first of all, I didn't know I'm a good public speaker, so thank you for that. What I feel is that even if you have to talk to anybody, first of all, you need to meet in the person's eye. If you want to talk in public, whether there are 5 people listening to you or 5,000 people listening to you, you need to see them. They need to see you. So effectively, what I'm trying to say is they need to connect with you. You need to create that connection that what I'm going to hear or what this guy is going to say will be helpful for me, probably 1% or 100%, but will definitely make some changes, will create an impact, make a difference. So the first thing is get connected with somebody. Number two, I feel is that you need to have the knowledge of what you are speaking, which is at par with anyone in the world or above par with anybody in the world. So effectively, if I am speaking about X, X can be anything. There cannot be anybody who knows
Better
more
than
than me, or I know as much as anybody who would know in and out of that subject.
So, you once said that you have to provide value to be valued. I think this applies here very well.
Right, right. So you actually heard what I keep speaking. Nice. So effectively, if you have to be valued to create the value, you need to first create the value. And how do you create the value? By being somebody who is like an authority in that subject. So what you speak is at par with all the top minds in that subject. And you need to be contemporary. What you are speaking is probably a 5-year-old concept, a 10-year-old concept, or the concept which is outdated, was existing in the books but is not followed anymore. You don't create an impact.
That won't work.
Or on the other hand, you are one of those few guys who are into active research, who have been one among the pioneers, who have come out with a technique, come out with a material, come out with some technology. And you are the one who are enabling people to understand how this, when incorporated in your practice, in your case, in your treatment plan, is bringing about a change, is making work more predictable, is creating the success and longevity of your final work, is making your treatment plan more channelized, is making the results stand out. So when this is happening, any person who has everything known about that subject to the people who don't know anything about that subject, when they get to see the results consistently, case after case, podium after podium where you are speaking, you start creating that impact. Because it's not 1 out of the 10 cases where you are getting the results. It's almost every case, or it's every second case. That is the level of expertise you need to reach to. So third point I would say is reach that level of expertise where you are effectively becoming a solution to people, not a source of problem. People are coming to you seeking solutions, which means anything happens in that area of expertise,
They
you are
can
the
come to you.
boss. Means you know everything. You have done that, seen that, solved that, given solutions. You have results to prove. The results are standing the test of time. 5 years follow up, 10 years follow up. The work is staying and as good as it was once upon a time. So these are the 3 things which will together give you a gist that, oh my God, this guy is getting connected with me. This guy knows everything, what he is speaking, what is happening globally, even in terms of the research which is actively going on. And what he is talking is not what the results are collaborating. What he is saying and what the results are actually creating a sync. They are exactly what he was explaining. We can see it on the screen. So effectively, when you are doing a public speaking, people will listen to you and see the screen. That is where the resonance has to come in. So what you talk and what they see have to be in sync. What you have spoken about and when you're actually conveying that, that's effectively walking the talk. People definitely will like it. Similarly, if I'm seeing a cricket match, I'm a big fan of Sachin Tendulkar. I am telling people about Sachin Tendulkar and he gets out on 0. Somebody who has no idea about cricket will say, oh my God, this guy doesn't have taste. But they do not know he might have a bad day. But his legacy is not affected. That's what I'm saying. You might have a day where you're not keeping well, you're running temperature, but still you have to give a session. You have traveled 14 hours to reach a place where there is a jet lag, there is time difference, but you still have to deliver. But people who know you will try to eliminate if he looks sleepy, if he looks tired, if he is jaded. That's all these small parameters which will not play an impact compared to what the screen is showing, the kind of work he's doing, the kind of impact he's creating with the audience, and more importantly, whether his work is evidence-based, followed globally with the results we are looking for. So, bigger picture plays a very big role. I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, sir. Sir, and another thing that I would like to add, what I really admire about you is the patience, the terror in your voice, if I might say so, that I and many of my friends who also public speak do not have. So, sir, how can we achieve that?
I will have to introspect about it. I don't know about it. See, because I honestly don't prepare anything, to be honest. So, whatever is in my heart, whatever I feel about, that's how I speak. And if I have done a case, I know what was there in my thoughts when I approached the case, how I reached the diagnosis, how I planned the case, what were the parameters I ruled out, what were the things I knew will be like a roadblock, and how I was planning to overcome that. So everything was pre-planned. So people say that, like you people ask these questions, that how can you be successful? How can you get success in every case? You might get some failures. My dear, I always tell one thing clearly. I plan to succeed. People plan to fail. The difference is still plan. You cannot enter anything without a plan. You need to have a plan. And a plan, whether it's a treatment plan or a plan to reach diagnosis, nothing can happen until you plan. And for planning, how much ever smart you are or how much ever experienced you are, you need time. So it's impossible, totally impossible, in 3 to 4 minutes of talking to the patient, 5 to 7 minutes of extraoral and intraoral examination to reach to a diagnosis. So whatever you are doing is still a provisional diagnosis. Until you are collaborating that with the photographs, with the intraoral x-rays, you might require certain orthopantomographs as well. You need to have diagnostic casts mounted onto a semi-adjustable articulator to understand exactly how the mouth functions. When you are able to collaborate all of these, then understand what is the patient's problem. What are the reasons for which the patient is experiencing problem? You cannot diagnose the problem. Because you might feel that, okay, fine, there is some chipping which is happening here and there. But that chipping is not because of cavity or because of caries. The chipping can be because of occlusal prematurities or interferences, which by asking the patient to close, move, here and there, it's impossible. So if we are not planning to succeed, what are you eventually ending up? Planning to fail. So what I say is plan. Don't be in a hurry. There is no heroism award in dentistry for those who can plan a case in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or they finish the case in 2 sittings. No, there's no award for that. Or on the other hand, there's no appreciation also for that. So effectively, people will appreciate you not at the speed at which you work. People will appreciate you with the success parameters. And success parameters in terms of how long is this work lasting? 5 years data, 10 years data. Means whatever he is doing, it cannot be just a golden hand which works. There's a lot of background work which goes on. So people ask me, how do you compare yourself as? So again, that might not be your question, but I'll still answer. See, I compare myself as a swan who goes in the lake. So if I see a swan which goes going in the lake, the swan looks so calm, just going in the lake. But under the water, which nobody sees, is the amount of paddling she's doing just to stay afloat and give an appearance that she is so calm. Similarly, when I am showing cases, even on Instagram, if you see my page, there is a lot of before afters.
Yes.
But even when I'm giving a lecture on a podium or conducting courses, people see the procedure. They don't see the efforts which have gone in to understand what needs to be done in a case. They don't understand the parameters which were like check boxes, which have to be tick marked at every stage before we move on to the next stage. Because all of that can be told in short until somebody is doing shadowing for me, is seeing what my thought process is seeing how I am diagnosing, is seeing at every step how I am ruling out the possibilities of something else creating an obstacle. So ultimately what I'm trying to say is the film might look good. People see a 3-hour film, but they don't see the 8 months which have gone in making that 3-hour film.
That's a good
Similarly,
one.
they might see that the results look great. Results are standing for 5 years. Results look good after 7 years. But the amount of work which has gone in to reach that end stage is what people need to identify. So again, my suggestion to people is start thinking rationally. Don't just see, oh, this case looks good, so because he did like this, it works. Now see, I'll give a very vague example. Now, when I post cases or when people are attending my training sessions, so they realize that if I do veneers, so my hands work magic for veneers, their assumption. But I tell them whether I need to prep 0.1 mm, 0.2 mm, 0.4 mm, 0.8 mm, or a 1 mm, that decision you can't see. That decision was mine in my planning stages.
And that has taken certain amount of experience to get to that
Exactly.
point.
And which material I have to use, depending on how much is going to be my preparation depth, is again my decision. Depending on how much of the light I want to actually block, how much of light has to be reflected, how much of it I'm planning to be refracted, or how much of the value of the original tooth I want to be shown through. So all of these decisions have actually gone in over a period of time until I realize what the case demands. And what people feel, if he does veneers, the case has to look good. So that's again looking superficial, not going and understanding. So what I try to train people with is go deep into it. If you want to become better than me, see, I am still an average guy who's trying to better himself with every day. So effectively, the difference between me and the rest is that I'm giving some more efforts in trying to better myself. So what I try to tell people and I try to explain them is spend that extra time. Because what happens, see, for example, there is a pipe which is carrying water. One hole in the pipe is enough for all the water to drain out. Similarly, one mistake, one error,
blunder,
one
like you
blunder
said.
is all it takes for the case to fail.
Yeah.
So the success is not to remove the holes. The success is to be prepared with all your parameters to block the holes at every step if it emerges. That is where the difference is. So if you are able to checkbox everything with a tick mark, that at this stage, these are the problems I can encounter. I'm very well prepared with it at the outset. And if it comes, it's not a surprise. It's not a shock. My
You're
treatment
prepared
plan is
at
not
that
going to
point of
change.
time.
I'm well prepared to handle it. Provided in my entire plan, this was well explained to the patient and I was well aware of it as well. So always plan. Either you plan to fail or you plan to succeed.
100%. Sure, and you said that the importance of a dental fraternity, like we can grow together as a community. So I was inspired from that, and with one of my batchmates, I created a WhatsApp group. With all the people we knew, we added to that to increase our networks, and slowly,
You didn't
slowly,
add
like
me.
two. So it was for students. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, so what? I'm also a student. I'm
So
just
UG
probably an elder
students.
student to you, but I am still a student. I am a student. I'm
Yes,
still
sir.
learning. I'm still trying to better myself. It's a fact. I'm still a student. So
Yes,
add
sir.
me in the group. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Probably I'll
So,
get to learn a lot and probably share a few things.
so it was for, I thought there are not many UG opportunities in second, third year for us. So whatever opportunities that we can get from various colleges, like now we have 250 people from like 18 colleges, and some people I messaged each one of them, and I actually met two, three of them which were in my city, and
Okay.
some people were from GDC Mumbai, and I asked, do you know Sagar Abhichandani sir? Oh yes, he came to my sorry college. Hello. He got disconnected. We're gonna connect with him again. I really want to tell him this story. There is some network issue. If you do have any questions, please let it at the end of the video so we can finish the questions that I have received until now. I've sent in the request and he will be joining soon. There was probably some network issue. Sorry, sir, there was some network issue. I
No, no
understand, sir.
worries. No worries. I was actually checking if something is wrong with my phone. Good.
Okay, sir.
All good.
Sir,
Peace,
so
guys. I hope you guys are back.
yes, sir. So I was saying, sir, that I met certain people from GDC Mumbai, and you had given a seminar there, and they were so happy that I was interviewing you that they like jumped on it, like we want to meet him, we want to do this. So,
That's
sir,
the greatness of
that
the
came
people.
full
See,
circle,
they say
and we're
beauty
here.
lies in the eyes of the beholder. So those guys are good. That they see goodness in others.
Yes, and it's so fascinating that it came full circle. Like I saw your videos in IDC Kerala. Because of you, I made that group, increased my connections, and they also recommended. It was like
So you add
very
me to that
fascinating
group.
thing.
I need to see everyone.
Okay, sir.
Great.
So it is actually for UG students, but I can still add you. No issue about that.
Yeah. So what? I might have finished my UG a little earlier, but I told you I'm still a student.
Okay, sir. I'll do that.
Yeah.
So we were talking about your dental fraternity. So as students, how can we better network ourselves to position for better success in the future?
Okay. So what I would say is, don't run behind anything. If you are networking with people for a reason,
Hmm.
it won't take you anywhere. Similarly, if I am doing work on any patient for a motive, a pre-motive or a motive, my work will not give me the success which I wanted. If I am doing work because I love doing that work and I want to give my best to that, the work will automatically stand out. Similarly, whether it's a UG student or whether it is a PG student, if you have to meet someone with a motive, I want to network, I want to know him, I want to be in his good books, it's not going to help.
That's not going to work.
Because ultimately, today, tomorrow, that person will realize why you are speaking to him.
Yeah.
Or on the other hand, I want to know someone so that I can pick up some points of learning and improving myself. When that is your thought process, see, it's not a motive, it's a thought process. Not to network, but to increase my own worth. Are you getting it? That will play a bigger role. Which means if I know X, but that X does not know me, I want to be in the good books of X, so I will start buttering, I will start flattering. Will it take me anywhere? Nowhere. Or on the other hand, I know X because X work is good. X's knowledge is really good. I want to take 10% out of that, 15% out of that. So when I talk to him, I share few things that, okay, fine, this is what I don't know. How can I better this? So the X also knows that this guy is genuinely interested in bettering himself. So when you want to know one part of the aspect, he will share 5 part of the aspects with you. Because there, you have not created a rapport for a network. You've created a rapport to better yourself. But if that guy is genuine and he is a genuine well-wisher, he sees you are taking 1 step to better yourself, he will walk 3 steps to make sure you are bettering. Because ultimately, if the goal is what? I only should know, I should be the best, I don't want to share anything, one aspect. But if the goal is, let's all grow together, because we all represent Indian dentistry. Indian dentistry should go. Indian dentists should have a name. We should take our country to different level. We should be proud Indians. If that is the mindset, then we all will grow together. So that's what I'm saying. As a UG or as a PG, doesn't make a difference. For me, if you want to grow, find the right people who will help you tag along. That's very simple. For example, this guy is doing well. I want to learn this. Be open and say, sir, how did you get this? How do you know this? Can you please share some tips? Or if there is anything, I'm not talking about the COVID scenario. There have been people who come to my clinic only for shadowing. We used to have 4 interns at our place who only used to see how things happen in our place. They used to see which material is kept where and what is the sequence of the way the materials are being used. Only for that. Why? Because tomorrow these interns are going to set up their own practices. Rather than they going blank in front of the patient, where the patient has a question about the dental profession, let them learn it firsthand. That is how they get to see what is the change. People will see how I speak to the patient. So effectively, they don't have to attend any social marketing or practice marketing, practice management sessions. They don't need to do that. Because I am not trying to fool anybody. I am only telling what your mouth requires. And if the patient is able to understand that, I am treating the mouth, not the teeth. Because when I'm treating the mouth, the teeth, the gums, the soft tissues, the muscles, the joint, everything plays a role together. So the final output which comes is in harmony with the stomatognathing system. So patient is aware, this doctor will treat me, will not treat cavities, doesn't do fillings. This doctor does not do implants. He treats the mouth. Whatever the mouth requires, he will do it. I do not want to treat a cavity. After 2 months, patient comes for another cavity. I want to see the patient once and then every 6 months. So whatever work has to be done, when the patient is here, I will finish the work. So the patient appreciates the doctor is able to identify the problem. Otherwise, many people have a mindset, I have an issue here. Doctor will only say what is needed here. Then patient will say after 2 months, now I have an issue here. Doctor will say, let me treat you here. The first question patient will ask, didn't you see this 2 months back? Yeah, but you had a problem here. Then why didn't you at least tell me about a problem here? So that is where the patient and the dentist gap starts to widen. Mentality. So we all know, before you meet the mouth of the patient, we should meet the mind of the patient.
Mind of the patient.
All of that. See, all those great guys who have written such things, they have also used their head while doing all this. What we have to do is, if we can't come up with these out-of-the-box ideas, we should at least implement them, follow them. And if we can't do, or is no one to guide us, we should observe people, shadow people, work under someone who will help us get these things sorted. See, because it's not just skills. Even soft skills are part of the skills. You might have the skills, but until the patient says yes for the treatment, how are you going to show your skills? So it's an entire chain. We have to understand the entire sequence of how it works.
And it takes
So
time to develop, right?
it takes time. That's what I'm saying. So using network, again, if you are already at that level where your network is your net worth, you have to reach that level. But you don't want to actually reach that level by creating holes or digging deep. It will reach its own channels. If you are good, your work is good, your knowledge is good, your skills are good, overall you are getting good results, people will want to connect with you rather than you chasing people. And remember, the first thought which comes to everybody's mind is negative.
They want something from me.
So if somebody is constantly talking, chasing, what benefit he has, why he wants to chase, what he wants from me. So not everybody is going to think positive, that probably he wants to learn. Rather than that, what I tell people is, instead of you giving negative vibes to people for them to start distancing yourself or distancing themselves, the best way is be good, do good, continue being good, continue doing good. Goodness will spread, people would want to get connected to you. Simple way.
Yes, sir. Sir, and since we were talking about UG a while back, what were the mistakes that you made as a dentist student in your UG that
Oh,
we can learn from it?
ample mistakes. Okay, so I was a cricket fanatic. I used to play cricket. I played cricket for which not clubs you don't know, which so many different areas. I was also playing for Elf Academy under Dilip Vengsarkar, so I was still that level. So I was a huge cricket fanatic. So what I used to do in my UG days was everything used to be secondary, and I thought, okay, fine. See, anyways, I'm going to be a dentist, right? If I'm going to be a dentist, something or the other I will learn. And because I'm going to learn, I can definitely try to refine my skills. So I never used to take my academics very seriously. This was in the initial part of the first year. And that time we used to have these, in fact, everybody has that, plaster, stone. And I used to wonder, am I into dentistry or am I into construction? Because I'm making stone. I'm telling my dad what is plaster of Paris. He's wondering, oh my God, which college is he going in? What the hell is he doing? Is he into a dental course? So it used to be funny, that initial part. So then what happened is, that's where I had opportunity of going in for a paper presentation in first year itself. And my guide was Dr. Savita Ram. She used to grill me so much. And I used to dislike dental materials. In the first 6 months, I used to dislike dental materials. So Dr. Savita Ram, I really owe it to her. She told, you are good in sports. You are good in debates. You are good in fashion shows. You are okay. So everything which was non-curriculum, I was really good in that. So I for all this cultural night, I used to be there on the stage for all events. For all sports activities, I used to be there on the ground for all events. But when you used to come for this actual work, the dental part, I was not interested. So I said, yeah, what about this plaster? What about this stone? Then about this casting furnace, this temperature, that temperature. I just used to wonder, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? I thought I will take care of the teeth and I'm here taking off casting temperature 1400 degrees Celsius. My God, wax burn out. So this used to really make my head go wild. But Dr. Savita Ram, I tell you, she's a wonderful woman. She told me, if you have the same passion which you have outside dentistry, if you do a presentation, a simple basic presentation on a small topic with the same enthusiasm, let's see what happens. You never know. I said, okay, she's my teacher. I have a lot of love and respect for my teachers. So let me do it for the sake of doing it. So there was a very small topic on impression materials, right? First year student, BDS, who just entered 4 months back, will get to play with the impression materials. I had elastomeric impression materials. I was shocked because first I was shocked seeing the colors. Oh my God, what's the color? Mixing them, what colors are coming. So I was this abstract guy who used to like things which were not normal. I think still I'm like that. I don't like things which are normal. So I used to really feel fascinated by these colors, different colors coming in. Then we had these techniques of double mix, single step, double mix, double step. And it started really testing me. Then I said, ma'am, this looks interesting. She said, why don't you try it on patient? I said, a first year
In
guy
first year?
taking impression on patient, because I don't know what she saw in me. Because then she had told me then, you know what? 5 years down the line, people will know you, who you are. 5 years. I was in my first BDS. I'll tell you the story. This is a very interesting story. In my third BDS, I was the youngest presenter ever at the Asia Pacific Dental Conference in Jakarta. Same year, I was the first Indian to be ever invited for a World Dental Students Forum. So there is this history which is that. So she played that first part. She said, why don't you take impression on a patient? So I effectively used all the techniques for taking an impression on the patient. And this baffled me. I said, it cannot be true. And that is where the interest started coming in. For everything in dental materials, my interest level started to go up, because then I realized that whatever I'm studying is not just for the sake of studying. Whatever I'm studying is going to have its implication in the dental profession. And if I'm able to master this at that initial level, where I can understand this application clinically, how to manipulate to get a better result, how to manipulate to get consistent results, my interest in that subject started to go up dramatically. And then things changed. And then Sagar Abhichandani also changed.
I don't know what to say, sir. That's such an incredible story.
Yeah, it was very crazy for me actually, because
Sir, how did the presentation go? Like the first one?
Yeah, it went well. So it went from intra-collegiate, which was from first year, second year, third year, fourth year, intra-collegiate. So there I got some prize. Then it became intercollegiate, then it became state. Then it just went on. Then I never looked back.
Sir, so how did you build the love for that subject? Like, obviously, ma'am was a big motivation for you. But when you got into using those, like naturally it came to you, like I want to do something in this,
Okay,
or the
so
patients inspired you?
so what happened was this: when I used to get interest in a subject, that is where I wanted to see how it works clinically, which I told you how it worked in the first year. Slowly, when I started getting into clinical, we had people who used to come with pain. We had people who had no teeth, so they never used to eat food. So that is where it started touching me emotionally. So effectively, these people are coming. What if I relieve them of their pain? What if I give them a reason to get nourishment? What if I'm contributing them to have a better smile? What if I'm giving them results which last, for which they don't have to come again? This is how I started building up my thought process. Even today, it's the same thing. I want to add value in my patient's life. Today, I want to add value in everybody's life. Because of me, somebody should be happy that he spoke to me. I had a good time spending time with him. I had a good time speaking with him. This guy made a difference. Even if 5 minutes he spoke to me, I feel motivated. I feel positive. I feel energetic. But it started then. Looking at the people in a college who are so depressed, people who can't walk, but they have still come in because they don't have teeth. People have huge swellings, but they are smiling because they know after the treatment that swelling is going to disappear. So they are looking forward to something positive. And if you are that source of inspiration who can be their reason for being positive, we better make it count. And that used to inspire me. That today morning, I'm going to inspire a few more people. Today morning, I'm going to make few more people become pain-free. So today morning is a special morning. So I never have Monday blues. For me, every day is red and pink.
Fantastic, sir. So, sir, I want to know this since you are telling such incredible stories. I want to know like the first legit patient that you did in your UG? Like, how was that experience? How did
Okay,
that
so
go?
the first patient. Okay, so again, this is going to be crazy. My Marathi is not that good. Okay, I'm telling this on public platform. My God. Okay, so my Marathi is not that good. And the first patient who came only used to talk in Marathi. Similarly, I was in SDM Dharwad for my post graduation, and I never knew Kannada till today, excepting 2-3 words. I don't know Kannada. So imagine doing dentures in such cases where you actually have to make them do the tongue movements, cheek movements, all these movements, and I don't know the language. So what I used to do, again, guys, whoever is listening, don't try this in your college and don't try this in your clinic. Okay, it's a statutory warning, please. What I'm telling is surely out of personal experience, right? Yeah. So what I used to do, I don't understand the language, but I know the steps. So whatever he used to say, I never used to take history because whatever I see is what I write. He used to
You're not
say,
gonna understand anyway.
I have something. I used to listen. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I will trust my eyes because I can't trust my ears. So now comes the impression time. Say, for example, bottom holding. We have to make the tongue move left, right, forward, different movements, make the patient swallow. Now, see, these are pre-COVID times. Guys, don't remove your mask. What I'm going to tell you is only for that time, right? What I did then. Okay. So, patient will not understand Hindi, English, which are my favorite subjects. I have a command on these two subjects. Marathi, poor. Kannada was hopeless. So, what I used to do is, say, for example, I'm wearing a mask. So, I used to see who's looking at me, right? And then I used to tell the patient, look at me in the eyes, right? And then what I used to do, I used to put the mask. It was here. I used to put it here. And then I used to tell the patient, because I know 1 or 2 words of Marathi and Kannada. So mask used to come till here, right?
Okay.
And then I used to look here and then I say, patient. So effectively, I used to do all the movements which the patient was supposed to do
Yes.
without uttering a word.
Wow.
Even for a trine, say a denture trine, we have to look for the planes, the speaking line, the smiling line. Now, patient is not going to speak. So how will I check the speaking line?
Yes.
So I used to talk to the patient. The patient never used to understand anything. So I used to say, so effectively the patient will replicate that.
He will replicate that, yes.
And that is how I have done my work. So see, language was a barrier. It was not a barrier for my treatment. So I have actually worked in the worst of scenarios where there is no patient-dentist communication. So there cannot be a rapport, but still there was a rapport. Because I used to realize the patient will say, I will not understand. But when the trial happens and the patient smiles, I understand the smile. He understands the smile. When the denture comes, it fits. There are tears in his eyes. He doesn't have to speak. I need not know the language, but I can see his expressions. He is happy. When that person who's 65, 70 years old, probably like my grandfather, he hugs me, that speaks everything. I don't need a language for it. And that used to motivate me. I have changed one life. Can I continue changing lives like this? Even today, when we finish with our smile makeover cases, we finish with our rehabilitation cases, patient can't stop crying. I feel happy. I made some difference. So every time that patient looks at herself in the mirror and she smiles, she's smiling because of me. And she will remember me. She will give me some best wishes. She will keep me in her prayers. That is what is going to get me going. So many a times we say, oops, that was God's grace. I would say the blessings of these people together makes the God shower his grace.
That's it. You must also shed a tear or two when you see such emotional scenes.
Yeah, I feel touched. I actually thank God that at least he has made me so much worthwhile that I can change people's lives. I can touch people's lives. So I feel thankful to him. See, my skill sets are limited. Whatever he makes me think, I think on those lines. Whatever he makes me do, I do those things. So people say, you have done a great job. I said, no, I've been guided. Whatever he told me to do, I did. I'm just a messenger. Whatever he told, I did. Whatever he said, I implemented. Results are showing. So results are not mine, results are his. So thank him, don't thank me.
Fantastic. Sir, and would you say the reason that you're so happy and look so content is the work-life balance that you have incorporated in your life?
No, there's no work-life balance. Work-life balance is coming now, post-COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, because initially it was only work. When there was a lockdown, there was only life. Now I'm trying to restore some balance. So there have been times on numerous occasions where I finish working at 12 in the night on a Saturday night, take a 4 a.m. flight on a Sunday morning, land somewhere after 8 hours, early morning local time in some part of the West, finish my session evening, which is late night in India, land early morning, Monday morning, reach clinic at 9 a.m. So I've seen that life too. Now
So
there's
since you
no
were so,
travel, so now there is some sanctity, some balance,
actually,
some harmony coming in.
so since you were working so hard, and I'm pretty sure still are, was there a phase of burnout in your life? If so, how
No,
did you get over it?
no. There
Never
was no
burnout?
burn. No. Even if I work 20 hours, I don't feel fatigued. I don't feel tired. Only when I get back home, say about midnight, that's when I eat food and I crash. That's where I feel I'm tired. But while in practice, while working, there is no burnout. Because I love
That
what I
is
do.
your passion for dentistry that we should aspire to achieve,
Because
I believe.
I don't work for the sake of working. I don't say, oh, it's 6. Oh, I don't say it's 7. I have the next case ready. I want to make a difference in him. Let my next case be my best case. I keep saying this. Let my next case be the best case. And I have not done my best till now. So maybe the next case which is going to come will be my best case.
That's
So that,
inspiring.
that keeps me going. Because ultimately, you need to have that same passion. I have seen people who say that in the morning, I'm very active. As the day progresses in the evening, my energy is 50%. You are doing injustice to your patients who come in the evening. Don't work on them. It's as simple. Don't work on them. When they could have chosen thousands of other dentists, but they chose you, not for you to work at 50% efficiency. Don't work on them. As simple. If you are not 100%, don't work.
True, sir. So, so the questions are all over except the final one.
Yes.
What would be your take-home message for a UG student who wants to be the best at his craft?
Okay. So for UG people, I would suggest focus on getting the basics right. Simple. Just get your basics right. Don't focus only for giving exams. Don't focus for finishing quotas. All of that. There are other thousands of people who are doing that. Don't be one among the thousands because you will have no standing, no identity. If you want to have a standing, you want to be known, you want to do something different, be different. And in this case, being different is being things which is supposed to be known. Knowledge wise, skills wise, try to master your basics. If your basics are strong, nobody can touch you. Remember, if your basics are shaken up, no building can be constructed on a foundation which is not strong. Focus on your basics, try to get the basics right. That has to be the take home message for all UGs. Don't do things for the sake of doing or for vomiting in the exams. It's not going to help you in any way. Because if you want to see, you might win a contest, which is your exam. You will lose the battle of life, which is your dental profession.
Fantastic, sir. So we actually have a few questions, sir. Can we
Can I
connect
just
again?
take can I just take 2 minutes break? Can I just sip in a glass of water? I hope
Yes,
it's
sir.
okay.
Sir, we'll connect again if
Guys,
it's
2
okay
minutes,
because only
please.
1 minute.
I need water. Please, 2 minutes. Thanks.
So we're gonna connect again because Instagram only allows for an hour of live session. So please stay tuned. I'll have a glass of water as well. It's been a great session so far. Oh, if you do have any questions, please type it in the comment section right now, and we'll connect it with him after like a short break. There are two questions that I do remember. We're gonna ask him that first. I'll just text him. Yep. We're connecting.
Hi again.
Hello, sir.
You actually
Sir,
ended the call.
sir, actually, Instagram only allows for only 1 hour session, so it was
Yeah.
almost ending. So I had to
Who would know
reconnect.
that better than me? We had so many Instagram live sessions in this lockdown.
Yes, sir.
Crazy times.
So one of the questions that came was because of the COVID situation, the recently the students that have come into the final year won't get to do that many patients, and उनका हाथ उतना अच्छा नहीं होगा. So how can they tackle that?
Do internship for an extended period of time. Do externship in other colleges. Because internship and externship gives you an opportunity to work under supervision. Rather than you going and practicing in a charitable trust, there's nobody who's going to supervise your work. So you will never know what you're doing right or what you're doing wrong. So I would suggest extend your internship or do an externship in other college also.
Okay, sure. So another one was
Nobody can stop you from working on patients in your own college. So that would be my suggestion. And even if there's a quota of 2 patients or 3 patients, don't bother in all that. Make sure you are continuing to work properly until you feel the work is satisfied, until you feel you can replicate the same precision in other patients also.
Yes, sir. So and another one was that people, I remember that it was like people were going from BDS to MBA in hospitals. Like, what is your view on that?
No views. Anybody who goes out of the profession, I have no views on them.
It's a personal choice.
I always tell them, God bless them. If you are in dentistry, I can help you. If you go out of dentistry, that's where my expertise ends.
So, I guess that's been it. If anyone has any questions, please in the comment section.
Please,
Send
you
it
can
right
type
now.
in your questions. Oh, the clock says 6 p.m. IST.
So you once said that the females need to work extra hard than the male counterpart because.
Correct.
So can you please
Yeah, so
elaborate on
what
that?
happens is, I am not into gender bias, but we need to understand the facts of life. So females will undergo a transition period where they would conceive a baby, they would give birth to a baby, the baby would demand time. So you have to spend time with the newborn because after all, it's a joy, a bundle of joy who has come into this earth. And at that time, if you're not giving the time the baby deserves, and you still say, I'm going to manage my profession as well as home, especially for these people, is to keep this time separate. So if somebody say has about 25, 30 years of practice, which is an average calculation, you subtract 5 years, subtract 4 years, subtract 3 years. That these 3 years were never there for me. Because these 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, how much ever you want to calculate, is exclusively for me and my baby. Me, my baby, my family. I want to give him, her sufficient amount of time where tomorrow I shouldn't feel the pinch when I'm giving more time to my profession. That I should have given him the time he deserved. Today, your profession is demanding that time. Rather than you trying to balance both and ultimately realizing neither the baby got time when he wanted the most, nor your profession is getting the time today which it deserved the most. So that's what I always say. Try to balance.
Not just
Females,
dentistry, any
ladies,
profession should not take over your life, you're saying.
especially at that time for females where they have to give time to their babies, it has to be unadulterated, undivided. They deserve the time, they need the time. Give all the time they need because the baby is not going to be 6 months old ever again, not going to be 2 years old ever again. But your profession can definitely go up the ramp every 2 years. So give him the time he deserves. Probably you might inspire him to become the next dentist. Why not? Who says? See the positive.
Is it a good time to do PG during these COVID times?
See, now again, I have a session which is recorded, which talks about whether you should do a PG or not. Because there is a common mindset, which is like people say herd immunity. People have a herd mindset also. If my friend is doing PG, I want to do PG. Friend wants to do PG in this subject, I also want to do in that subject. So it doesn't work. First of all, do you have the aptitude to do PG in that subject? If you have the aptitude to do PG in that subject, are you ready to do PG in that subject or leave PG completely? Or you want to do PG in that subject in any college in India, wherever you get it. That decides your love for the subject. So that's going to be deciding whether I need to do PG or not. So if you see that lecture, I think everything is well explained. For all those who don't know that, either he will send you the link or I will send you the link. That's perfectly fine.
It's like one of
But
the
in
best
short,
dental content India has produced, I would say.
thank you so much. So basically what I'm trying to say is don't go by what others are doing. Their life is different than yours. You find your strengths and weaknesses. Where you stand is your decision. So calculate that decision, keeping your future in mind. I've also said in that lecture, there are thousands and millions of dentists who are BDS graduates and doing fantastic job. And there are thousands and millions of MDS guys who are doing rubbish work. So degree is not equivalent to what your skill set is. Degree is good enough for your visiting cards or your board outside. That's it. Your skills are immaterial of the degree. So better your skills, better your knowledge, and more importantly, try to get a blend of both.
And we have a generic question. Dentist, PG in India or abroad?
Okay, so I would say wherever you want to practice, do your masters there. If you want to practice in India, do your PG here because these are the kind of cases you will get to see. Many postgraduate programs in abroad don't even allow you to touch patients. So what PG are you doing? If you don't get to work on patients, what UG have you done? Similarly, what PG you will do? As simple as that. So more importantly, you need to identify is what is the kind of work you're doing, what is the kind of materials you're using for the work, what techniques, technology you've learned. So in short, overview is how good you are in that subject. That determines where you stand in terms of your post-graduation. No point doing 200 dentures but still doing the age-old techniques. It doesn't work.
So after MDS, you did a post-graduation restorative and aesthetic dentistry for University of Manchester. So sir,
Yeah.
how was the experience different from India and there?
So after that, I also did MS in oral implantology from Stony Brook in US. So see, I got tired of studying, then I stopped studying. But basically what I realized in my MDS prosthetics is that I have mastered prosthodontics from SDM Dharwad, one of the best colleges in the country. But I'm still not 100 out of 100 in restorative and aesthetic. So what is the best way to learn that? Do a master's. I also realize I'm not 100 out of 100 in implant dentistry. What is the best way to learn? Do a master's. So I'm supposedly, based on the education, being the best in all three words, which I'm not. But basically, I wanted to learn the best from the best. So today, even in my practice is limited to me doing prosthetics, which is removable, fixed, doing implant, A to Z of implants, A to Z of aesthetics, A to Z of rehabilitation. So whatever I have mastered in, that's what I do.
Yes, sir. So, and the questions I keep on, gonna keep coming. Choosing between a government seat and a private seat. I guess that's pretty rhetoric.
Okay, so what I would say is, this is for UG or PG?
I
Government or
believe
private?
PG. I believe PG.
Okay. So now what happens is you need to not see whether it's a government or a private. You need to see what kind of guides you will get, how good the guide is, what is the contemporary levels in which the guide is updated with what's happening in the world. Is he still talking about complete dentures and making thesis also on complete dentures? You will always be an out school thought, never contemporary in practice. Second is the kind of work which you do. There are many government colleges which I am told don't even provide implants. So there are no implant cases happening. So many government colleges in India. So they might do 200 cases, 400 cases of complete dentures. But today, if you see what the ADA has published in 2014, that 2 implant supported mandibular overdentures is supposed to be the first line of treatment. But if you do not know implant placement, you can't fabricate overdentures. So you might be doing it from a government college, fantastic. But are you practicing what you will be practicing outside in clinics? That's
Makes
the call
sense.
you need to take. Third is patience. So you have seen about what techniques are going to be followed, what materials are there. You also have checked what are the kind of guides you have, because for postgraduates you require PG guides. PG guide again is not in your hand. The guides will choose the students, but at least you have an idea who the staff is and what kind of guide can be allocated. Last is again the number of people you will do. So you need to have a background verification. What are the PGs who've passed out from this college? What kind of work have they done? Because they will give you an honest feedback. If you do it, if you ask an opinion of the PG who's already working there, he's bound to say only good things because he has to clear his PG. So we need to be really, really true about this. So ask people who've passed out. They will give you a real picture. There are people who will say, "Oh, I didn't get to do this." Can you even imagine not doing this and becoming a postgraduate student? So you need to weigh your pros and cons. But all of this is only possible when you love a subject. So you're ready to go to any college in India only for that subject. Or if you don't get that subject, you're ready to forego the year. Don't do PG in whichever subject is available for you. That's the last mentality anybody should have.
Fantastic, sir. If those people watching, if you do not have seen the Success in Dentistry video by sir, it is like I said, one of the best dental pieces any Indian has produced.
Thank you.
Please watch it.
Thank
And
you so much, my
I
dear.
guess, sir, that's been it. Thank you so much for coming. And
Pleasure's all mine.
I
Pleasure's
I
all
hope
mine.
to meet you in real life someday soon. Thank
I'm
you so
looking
much, sir.
forward. I'm looking forward to it, so that when I meet you, I'm not seeing you with a mask and keeping 3 feet distance when we see each other. Would love to meet you in person. Most of the people also in person who are joining in, so that we all can grow. You might learn 2, 3 things from me. I might learn 8, 9 things from you, because everybody is unique in their own ways.
That's it, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Take care. Have a great day ahead. Take care, guys.